Hey there everybody, Mazarok here, and today I want to do a Prot Warrior guide on a build that's quickly emerging as being an absolute wall of force in Mythic Plus and also very, very good in Raid, and that is Necrolord Prot Warrior. So in this video, I want to go over the pros and cons of choosing this covenant and going with it. What are its strengths? How does it work? And what can you do to improve on just being an absolute wall of a tank? Because as we all know, Prot Warrior has not been in the best position this tier for Shadowlands in Mythic Plus and everything. I love the spec, don't get me wrong, but it does need a little bit of work. But I've been playing Necrolord Prot Warrior lately, and honestly, built with this build that I'm going to come up with, I'm going to talk to you guys right now, it actually is very strong and very sturdy, but there's a couple of things to keep in mind. Before we get into it, please like, comment, subscribe. The amount of support that you guys, the community, have given me has been absolutely unreal, and I'm flabbergasted every day by all the positivity and general awesomeness that is you guys, the community. So thank you so much for that. There is a community Discord down below if you have any questions about what I'm talking about here, because I'm going to presume that you know the basics of Prot Warrior, because you might also be someone that's thinking about playing Prot Warrior or something like that. I'm going to gloss over some things, and this isn't going to be a true deep dive. I have a beginner's guide to Prot Warrior as well, and I have a 9.2 guide as well, but the 9.2 guide is mainly for Kyrian. So I'm going to be linking those down below, because there are some times where, you know, you're not going to want to play Necrolord just because of the type of content you're doing, but I will discuss that further on in this video. And as well, there's a Twitch link down below if you like to see people stream. I stream. Perfect. Thank you very much for listening this far. And let's get right into it. So some of the strength of Necrolord Prot Warrior is, of course, Fleshcraft. So here I'm going to hit Fleshcraft, and you're going to get a nice big absorb. I have 116k health, but I am only item level 267. So there's definitely room to get this up to that 130 marker and things like that. I don't have my full BIS gear yet, so this isn't a spec that I've been playing an absolute ton of. Like, I'm not doing 12 to 20 Mythic Pluses a week, but I am trying to play it as fairly often. A 60k absorb shield every 2 minutes, very, very strong. But that's not what makes the build. Fleshcraft is obviously not what makes the build. It's just very nice, but it does encapsulate what the build is all about, which is massive amount of absorbs. But first we need to talk about the Unity Legendary. So, Conqueror's Banner affects one additional ally, and every 10 rage you spend while active increases the duration of Banner by 0.5 seconds. So, Revenge being 20 rage, 1 second increase. Shield Block being 30 rage. That's... sorry, math is hard. 1.5 second? 1.5 seconds? No. No, sorry. 2 seconds. Yeah, sorry. And Ignore Pain being 35, which actually, when it was 40, it would have made this build a little bit better, but whatever. That's not the whole point. But the goal is to increase your banner. So what the banner does is you brandish the Conqueror's Banner, granting 400 mastery and 30% increased movement speed to you and your 2 nearest allies, 3 with Unity, and preventing your movement speed from being reduced below 100%. It lasts for 15 seconds. Now, on Antros, with just kind of me not playing right and not optimizing, I easily got my banner up to 1 minute and 20 seconds, but you can extend this further. But it does require a couple little things. High amount of haste, because absolutely the more globals you get, the more everything goes, the more shield blocks you can get and everything else. And it does require your talents not to be all blown at once. So a couple of key ways that you're going to want to do, that you're going to want to work with this, is you're going to want to increase your rage generation, and always try and have something in a pull that increases your rage generation as you're chain pulling and everything else. And we have a couple of ways to do that. Of course, we have Ravager. Ravager is not a great damage dealing ability, but it does generate a lot of rage. Another one that you're going to want to use is the Conduit Unnerving Focus, which makes Last Stand increase your rage generation by 63%.
Last Stand on its own is not a button that's really worth pressing. It's not a bad defense. I mean, it kind of is a bad defense as defensives go. It just increases your maximum health by 30% for 15 seconds and instantly heals you for that amount. This is now best used as an offensive cooldown for defensive reasons. Because while your banner is up and you're generating that rage, you're going to always want to keep 2 stacks of Ignore Pain up. And this is very easy to do. And let's remember, so for every 10 rage, it's 0.5 seconds. So it's 3.5 second increase on banner for every 2 Ignore Pains that you press. Very, very strong. But this makes you a wall of absorb shields. Because in higher keys, where this is effective, and this is where you don't want to... So this is... let's get to where you don't want to be playing Necrolord to when you want to. If you are in content that isn't pushing the eye level that you're at, if you're not pushing keys, if you're over geared for the key that you're doing, go with Kyrian. Kyrian's going to be the superior option in that instance. If you're item level 267 like I am and you're going into a 5, you're not going to get the true worth of the Necrolord ability, the Necrolord build here, than if you just went Kyrian. Because Kyrian's more damage all around and is just very strong in that regard. But this is for pushing content where, you know, I'm item level 267, 15s and up. Depends on your, and also depends on your DPS. If you got like 3 people in your dungeon that are doing like 15k plus overall, this is probably not as much. But the longer a pack lasts, the better this becomes, because you get to extend banner a lot more. And that is the whole goal. Extend banner, because banner also increases your rage generation. So you generate 4 rage per second with Conqueror's banner up. So as long as you're generating rage, you can hit shield blocks, you can hit revenges, and you can keep up your 2 stacks of Ignore Pains. But to keep up your 2 stacks of Ignore Pains, you need to be taking the damage and for them to go away. If you're hitting your Ignore Pain and nothing, and you're just not taking any damage because you're in a 5 at item level 270, it's not worth it. But if you're in a position where you're generating a lot of rage and you can just keep that banner going, and every time you hit Ignore Pain, like a second later it kind of goes away, this is where this thrives, because the entire point here is to be an absorb wall where you try to take the least amount of damage possible. I'm going to go over the talent setup now, and so you're going to want Devastator. Devastator, your auto attacks deal an additional damage, but it makes your auto attacks have a 20% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Shield Slam. Shield Slam is a very strong rage generator, as well as when you combine it with the tier set. So the tier set is consuming 30 rage, has a stack to grants a stack of Seeing Red, which transforms at 8 stacks into Outburst, causing your next Shield Slam or Thunderclap, which, by the way, if you have Outburst, never hit Thunderclap. It is always more beneficial to hit Shield Slam. Always. and will also grant you an Ignore Pain. Avatar increases your damage dealt by an additional 10% and decreases damage taken by 10%, and Avatar instantly grants you Outburst. So, combine this with Anger Management. Every 10 rage you spend reduces the remaining cooldown on Avatar and Shield Wall. The more rage you generate, the more rage you spend, the more avatars you get. This is the synergy of how it works, because you become an absolute absorb machine. You take 30% less damage with Avatar up with the tier set, and you're just constantly generating rage to keep getting that Avatar down and keeping the banner going. And of course, you're going to want to go with... I like Double Time. Stormbolt is also very strong, but I like Double Time. Best Served Cold, Bounding Stride is my choice, but in higher keys, I do go with Thunderclap from time to time. But really, this is kind of up to you. You're not really going to get huge bonuses out of Crackling Thunder, but up to you. I prefer Bounding Stride, but in 20s when I was doing them, I also just go with Crackling Thunder. Indomitable is your absolute play here for this row, and Ravager is needed for this build, as well as Anger Management for the synergy with the tier sets. So this is where you're going to want to go now. Up next, you're going to want to use Absorb Trinkets. Let's lean into being Absorb machines. You've got Fleshcraft. You've got Ignore Pain, Bloodscale, Pulsating Rift Shard, Pocket Protoflesh is another one that actually does very good in keys. I wouldn't wear it in raid, but does very, very good in keys. It's actually surprising. I've tested it out, and it does actually do quite a bit of absorbs, but it is random. But being able to heal for 1,000,000 absorb damage in a dungeon is very, very strong. If you have the Shield of Unhilde's Aegis from the Sanctum of Domination raid, which you would be able to get in Faded next season when Season 4 comes around as well, these are all very strong trinkets for this build, because the entire goal is don't take damage. Wherever you can absorb damage and just not take it, do it. So you want to make sure that you're getting 100% uptime on Shield Wall. You have 2 stacks of Ignore Pain up at all time, and you're constantly generating rage. A little tip for this is do not use Ravager and Last Stand together. Separate these two, because with these two combined, you're going to be generating so much rage that you just don't have the globals to spend it with Banner up. You just won't. So you're going to be overcapping on rage a lot, but like, pop down Ravager first, because it's 45-second cooldown, so you want to make sure that this one's going, and then use Last Stand when Ravager ends and a pack is still up, or you're entering a pack without Ravager off CD. Those are the times that you want to use it there. But that is the whole goal of the build. And as you can see, as I've been talking of the synergies between the tier sets, Ignore Pain, and the double legendaries, and not to mention with the Conduit. So at 252, Conqueror's Banner increases your strength by 20%. Having a 20% strength buff increase for a minute and a half, a minute, whatever it is absolutely very strong. Overall, Kyrian to Necrolord, you're going to do more damage as Kyrian. It's just kind of the way it's going to work. But Necrolord is very, very strong as well. This is the setup that I have here for mine with Plague Deviser Marilith, because you kind of want to mastery stack a little bit with this as well, but you don't want it on your gear. You want haste verse on your gear, but mastery is not a terrible stat for you, especially if you can get easy ways to stack it. Getting 400 mastery off your Conqueror's Banner, and getting another 120 just for having Fleshcraft on cooldown, because it lasts for 2 minutes every time you hit Fleshcraft, is very strong and will bump. So here I have 28%. I easily have above 40 with Conqueror's Banner up and things like that. And Mastery increases your chance to, increases your chance to block, and it increases your chance to critically block. So having Mastery is very nice, but it's just not something you want to stack on your gear itself. It's kind of like the whole conundrum of people say that monks don't like haste. No, monks love haste. They just don't need any because they have a source, aka talent, that gives them 45% haste as long as they're taking a buttload of damage, which you're a tank, you should be taking a buttload of damage, right? So with this, you want to focus on haste and versatility, because versatility, the less damage you take, the better. You combine that with Avatar, Demo Shout, you're not taking a lot of damage, and you have all of these absorbs around you. You just become an absolute wall. When I was running the keys as Necrolord, I was noticing that as long as I was keeping Conqueror's Banner up and working my rage generation cooldowns, I wasn't taking a lot of damage. And even like that, my the Holy Paladin healer that I've been running with a lot of good buddy of mine, during those times, he's like, "Can you take damage so I can heal you? Like, your health bar hasn't moved." And that is because you're working with those Ignore Pains, which got buffed. So it's 55% of damage taken was 55. It was 50, it's 55. It's not a huge buff, but it still is a buff. But if you're constantly taking a lot of damage and you're able to upkeep Ignore Pain constantly and have that rage generation going, you just become a wall where you just don't take damage. So those are my recommendations for Necrolord. You can, and this is something, if you so choose, go down this path here on Emily if you want to, if you choose to. Now I have Shockwave cooldown here. I would also probably go with like Safeguard or something, but whatever. That's not really the point. The point here is, if you're going to go Emily, the only reason you're going to want it is you may channel Fleshcraft while moving, so that way you just don't have to stop. Literally, you can, if Fleshcraft comes off while you're going from pole to pole, you can just hit Fleshcraft and keep moving and have a better chance of keeping Conqueror's Banner up. Because Fleshcraft is a powerful cooldown, but you don't... It kind of sucks to stop a dungeon. And if you have the choice between casting Fleshcraft or keeping Banner going, your option should always be to keep Banner going, which means you're losing out on Mastery, but you don't get that Mastery with M&E anyway. But this is a nice way to just have more absorbs and keep a stronger flow of the dungeon where you just don't have to stop. Because if you can cast it while moving, all the better. But I would suggest probably Plague Divisor Merilith for the Mastery stack that I was talking about. All in all, super fun build. This honestly kind of made Prot Warrior a lot more fun for me. And I'm going to be playing a lot more Necro Prot as time goes on. One other strength that this has, it has a very strong single target. I was honestly surprised. On Andros with Lust, I was pulling 13, 14k. Sustained for a solid minute and a half, and then Banner went away, and then my DPS started dropping off. But very, very strong single target where you lose out on AoE with Spear of Bastion. Spear of Bastion is very strong in AoE, especially given the Unity Legendary with it. But very, very strong. What do you think about Necrolord Prot Warrior? Do you think this can contend? Is this going to start maybe kind of turning some heads a little bit? What do you think? Leave that down in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. Aside from that, thank you very much for listening. Happy tanking.